Can you see here now? It has launched the it has launched the application on my device. If you see here, again I am reiterating, it's the real device which we are automating. We have something called as Android screen monitor. Okay, Android screen monitor is used to showcase the real device. The things which are happening is on the real device. Okay, now once it is launched, what is the next set of steps which we need to do? What is the reference variable? Hereafter, what is this screen is referred with? Which variable is referring? Which reference variable is referring? Hereafter, if at all I need to interact with any of this text box or the button or anything, right? I need to be using what? I need to be using driver, the reference variable driver. Now comes in very important stuff. What exactly we call this in the technical terms? In technical terms, what exactly we call this as a text box? This as what? Text box. This as a text box. This as a button. Okay, this as a checkbox. And even a sentence is called as a what you call basically in technical terms we call it as some object. Okay, so earlier days we used to call this text box, calculate and all those things, we used to call it as an object. Now in Selenium APM or in Selenium we call those things as a web element. We call this as what? The elements. Okay, this text box is an element, calculate is an element, this button is an element, radio button is an element, and then what you call the checkbox is an element. Okay, drop down is an element, some sentence is an element. All those we call it as a web element. All those are called as what? The web elements. To identify, say if I write a piece of code, will it directly come and interact with this particular web element? The answer is no. I have to give the properties. Of this particular element. How can you recognize what you call say someone, if you go to a passport office, how will you recognize, how the passport office person will recognize you? You have to give your properties there. Basically you have to give your say PAN card number. Okay, your PAN card number will be one of the properties. Okay, or the Aadhaar card number, that will be one of the properties, or your height, weight, eye color, everything is a properties there. Okay, so we call that, in technical term the properties are called as attributes. Okay, so how does Amitabh Bachchan is recognized? Amitabh Bachchan is recognized, say he is the biggest superstar, that is one of his attributes. Okay, he is more than 6 feet is one of the attributes. Lot of hit movies, Sholay, everything, Sholay is one of the attributes. Pi is another attribute. Okay, to recognize a particular person or an object or anything for that matter, we give the set of other details. Those details are called as attributes. Now how exactly I can find the details of this particular element or this element, years element or a rate element or this calculate? How will I get the attributes of those elements? For that we have another tool called as UI Automator. To open UI Automator, right, I should always stop the APM server. APM server should be stopped if I am going to use the UI Automator. UI Automator will give you the details of those particular elements. Once I open the UI Automator, what should I do is click on this. It will take a screenshot. It will take what? It will take a screenshot and it will give you the particular element details. I select here. Can you see these are the attributes? These are the attributes for this price element or the amount element. Index is attribute, this is attribute value. ID is attribute and this is the attribute value. Class is an attribute, this is the attribute value. So what are the app which you are seeing here. Today we'll be automating using the attribute called as ID. So for the price I'm using the attribute called as ID. Anything you can use, guys, anything you can use to identify the element, but the four attributes which are used to automate in native apps are ID, class name, then XPath, then name. Okay, all those things, how exactly to do it, we'll be seeing that in the future classes. Okay, how exactly do I would recognize this years? Can you see here? I have clicked on the years. ID is the attribute. Though it says resource ID, we will be using it as an ID. This is the value. Can you see here the rate? ID is the attribute and this is the attribute value. Button, what shall I use? ID and this attribute and this is the value. Okay, so shall we start writing? So to perform any action on any element, right, first we need to identify that element, then only you can perform. Say to reach Bangalore, right, you have to first book a ticket, and you are say through the train or through the bus, you have to first reach, and then inside the Bangalore, if your office is there, you will reach the particular office. Okay, first you have to reach a destination, then inside that where exactly you need to be able to identify that. Okay, now first I am going to select this. It gives the details of ID. Okay, I'm copying this ID. How will I write the code now? Go to Eclipse. What is the reference we have? Driver. Okay, I would say driver dot find element by what? ID, open bracket. Can you see here? First ID is, let me copy this, put it over there, dot, what it is? Send keys. How much I should send? Send keys is nothing but enter the values inside that text box. Okay, send keys is a method. Now what is the next one? Go here, select this. You need to pass the years. I'm copying that. Which attribute we are using? ID attribute. Find element by ID, open quotes, close quote, dot send keys. How much? It is 5. Okay, next thing is driver dot find element, again by ID, again by ID. Select this, open quotes, close quote, dot send keys. How much is the interest? I would say 12%. That is as per our test case. Can you see here the test case sheet says 10,000, 12 and 5. I'm using that values over there. Okay, finally what exactly we need to do? We need to click on the calculate button. I'm copying the ID attribute. How will I go about? Driver dot find element by ID, open quotes, close quote, dot, what is this thing? It is click. Okay, now we have written 4 lines of code. Shall we see whether it is working fine or not? Then we'll get into, then when here it should enter 10,005 and 12. Click on calculate. It should give me the output of $222.44. Okay, we'll see how exactly to take the output once the action is performed. Now how will I execute, guys? Let me run the APM server. How will you know whether the APM server is up and running? It is console log level debug. So how will I know? Right click, run as Java application. Here it will close the app. Already the app is open. Here it will close the app and then again relaunch it. Again it will relaunch the things and enter the values of 10,000. Okay, it will close the app, then relaunch it. You were not able to see, I was able to see inside the device. Here there's a lot of delay which is happening. You can check it out when you are automating in your mobile. Okay, it has entered 10,000. 5 years, and the interest rate is 12. Click on the calculate. Now can you see the output here? The output is $222.44. How will I get this output, guys? How will I get this output? Okay, so basically I should capture that attributes. Let me stop the APM server, go to this UI Automator, again obtain the screenshot. Once I obtain the screenshot, can I take this attribute? What is the attribute which I have? Again the ID attribute. Again the ID attribute. Now how will I get the output? So for that, again you need to write a code. First you need to find the element. Find element by ID. Open quotes, close quote, dot. How will you get the output from an application? Very important, guys. Even in the middle of the night you should be knowing. As an automation tester, you need to know how to find the element and enter the values, performing the action like click. And also you need to know how exactly to get the output from the application. To get the output from the application, you need to use something called as get text. You need to use an attribute called as dot, method called as get text. Once you say get text, basically what is the output which you are getting now? You will get this output. We need to store that in somewhere, right? We need to store this somewhere. Okay, I need to store it in a variable. Okay, for that, again, I am going to use the Eclipse feature here. If you closely observe, I'll be writing something called as, I'll be using a shortcut key called as Ctrl+1 enter. What did I use? The shortcut key Ctrl+1 enter. Can you see here the data type? String, and this is my variable. The variable I would change as my wish. Okay, I am making it as output. So I am printing that sysso. I would say again a shortcut key control space. You will get the most of the things. Leave it to the Eclipse, guys. It will type it for you. Control space. I will give the output. Okay, what is the output which I get? Shall we execute and see? Okay, now shall I have a variable name? Shall I write it at the top? Looking at my test case, what is the expected result, guys? My expected result is 222.44. Okay, so string, what shall I say? Expected underscore result equal to what? It is 222.44. Close it with a semicolon. Now you got the output as well. It should be equals. Okay, you got the output. How do I validate? If what it is, output dot equals. Generally people tend to write double equal. Double equal should be written for the data type something like int, double, and all those things. When it is a string, right, when you are comparing a string, it should be output dot equals. Equals what? What is your expected result? It is expected underscore res. Okay, output equals expected result, that is expected underscore res. I would say first, if it is matching, print it as pass, then else what it is, print it as sysso control space, enter it as fail, enter it as fail. How will you close the app? It is driver dot quit, driver dot what it is, driver dot quit. Okay, now if we run this, once we run this, shall I print the expected result also? What is the expected result? Okay, I'll print the expected result here. I'll say sysso, what is it? Shall I say expected result is, what is the expected result? Inside the code you need to concatenate. If you are putting the variable name, this is the variable name, I am putting it as concatenation. So what are the two syssos which we have? One is the output, whatever we get from the application. The other one is the expected result. Okay, now if it is both are matching, if both are matching, it will give the result as pass. If it is not matching, it will give the result as fail. Okay, now shall we execute, guys? My app is like this. Shall I reset the things? Shall I close it? Okay, even if you don't close it, it will what you call close and relaunch it. That should not be a problem. Okay, I have closed it. Now before executing, what should I do? Let me delete this, everything, clear it. Start the APM server. What should we do, guys, now? Let me see whether the APM server is up and running. Yes. Right click, run as Java application. Now close the observe. What exactly happens? It should launch the application. It has launched the application. It should enter 10,000. It should enter 10,000. It should enter years 5 and interest rate is 12 and click on calculate and it should give the output. If you see here, the stop button is not in red color now. It is already executed. Let us see the result. Where can we see the result? This is is nothing but we get the output from the application, that is $222.44. This is expected result, our English sentence, it is there, and expected result, the variable. So it is failed. Why it is failed, guys? The output consists of dollar, the expected result doesn't have the dollar. How will I remove the dollar now? How will I? As per the functionality, yes, it is working fine. Only thing is dollar is what you call appended. So how will I remove that? For that I'll be using something called as replace method. Which variable is holding this $222.44? Output variable. I'm copying the output variable. Dot, what is the method which I can use? Replace. All these are architectural code which is already there. I'm just reusing that. It is dollar and the new character is what? Open quote, close quote, semicolon. What should I say? Left hand side part if I want. What is the shortcut key? Again it is Control 1 enter. Automatically Eclipse will take care of it. Now shall I say this as actual underscore result, and shall I type sysO control space actual result? Shall I say this as actual result is, how do I concatenate? Plus symbol. So what value should I put on line number 55? Instead of output, put actual result. Save it. Now if we run, it should get passed. Shall we see that, guys? For that again what should I do? Stop the APM server, delete, play the things. Now if you see, console log level debug is there. Remove it. Right click, run as Java application. Close the observe now. It should launch the app, enter amount, interest, tenure, then get the output. Okay, once it gets the output, it should validate with the expected result and say pass or fail based on the validation. That is what is happening on the screen. Again I am reiterating, it is getting performed on the real device. It's not the emulator, guys. Okay, it is getting performed on a real device. Okay, now shall we see the result here? Can you see here? The first sysO is the output from the application. Second sysO is it's been what you call replaced. Dollar is replaced with what? Nothing. Okay, expected result is this thing. Both are validated and it says pass. Is our first objective done here? Is our first objective completed? Okay, so how exactly to read from the Excel and write and all those things we will be knowing. Okay, so today basic code we are focusing on how exactly to interact with the application and how exactly to get the output. Okay, again last time I'll reiterate. First, this piece of code, what exactly it is, we are interacting with the, we are getting the details of the device. These two lines, what exactly it is doing, we are getting the details of our application. Inside the device there is an application, right? That is our mortgage calculator. We are getting the details of it. Okay, if you're not getting what exactly the details is, generally we write www.google.com to launch the Google app, right? We write the URL. It is this package and activity name is as good as writing your URL. Okay, so once we get all the details of the device and the app details, okay, there is someone as a acts as an interface between our code and the mobile app, that is our APM. APM acts as a server. That details are given in here. Okay, APM driver class we use the new Android driver. This key is nothing but we are going to give the details of the APM server. Okay, web driver and the hub, this is the capability details. Once it is done, this driver is nothing but the particular app page. That becomes a reference of the particular app page. From here on, we identify the elements by using what? UI automated tool. There are two tools which I have used, guys. Basically three tools if you ask me. One is APM server to make the code up and running, to interact between the code and your mobile app. Second one is to spy what exactly each element is. We use UI automator. To get the package and activity, which tool we used in the command prompt, it is the dumsys tool. Anyway, with the future classes you will be totally familiarized. Okay, so we identify the element using UI automator and we use the methods to enter the values. We use the method click to enter the, basically click on that button. This four lines is nothing but it enters amount, interest, tenure and click on the button. This is most important. 4546, we get the output from the application. Which method we use? Get text. And finally we have the output with dollar. When we validate it will get failed, so we remove that dollar. Okay, then we store it in an actual result variable. This is our own English sentence, we concatenated that, and expect a result as per the test case sheet we are writing it. This piece of code is again a Java code that we are using a if condition. If actual result dot equals. Dot equals is because of the string method. We use the dot equals and finally we are quitting the application. Okay, I hope everyone got the first test case, how exactly we automated. Thank you so much guys.